Hi, people. Hi, everybody. I hope you're well. I hope you're fine. I hope the Lord has been faithful upon your lives, and I hope that you are keeping safe. Now, this is Hosanna Encouragement Parlor, and you are so much welcome at the parlor. We have really, and I have always said, really missed you, and you are so much welcome wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us today, and believe you me, today we will be encouraged because that is exactly what we do here at the parlor. We are seriously encouraging people, and we are seriously telling people, you know what, we have to live, because this life is a gift that is temporal anyway, and for the days that we are here, we have to live, and we have to enjoy the days that the Lord has kept us here. And so for that, I would request you to subscribe. If you are new here, kindly hit the bell that is down there. Make sure that you subscribe, please, so that you will increase our subscribers number. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel today, and the Lord shall see you through. Now, one thing that I want to talk about today is something that is so very personal. I know there are things that are so personal in our lives, but this one, I'm telling you guys, this one is 100% personal. We take things personal, but there are things that are more personal. You know, there are things that we personally will only do for ourselves, and there are things that nobody and absolutely nobody will do them for us. And so I want to talk about knowing God for ourselves, because this kind of a thing, nobody will do it for us. And that is the reason as to why I am saying that it is so personal. Yani, it is only you and only you who can do it. Nobody is doing it for you. It's only you and you alone. And just like life, knowing God is also as personal as life. Nobody will wake up for you. Nobody will sleep for you. Nobody will eat food for you. Nobody will go to school for you. Nobody will wash and clothe your body, not unless you're a kid. But once you attain a certain age, of course, these are things that you should be doing for yourself, because it is personal. In fact, knowing Christ is as personal as your body is personal to you. Because your body is personal to you, and knowing Christ and having a relationship with Christ and having a relationship with God is as personal as your body is personal to you. And that's the reason as to why I want to talk about it. And also that is the reason as to why I would love us to emphasize on it, and for us to take it as serious as it needs to be, because it is 100% a serious matter. Now, one thing I love about the Lord, and I will quote a scripture in the book of Psalms 103 and verse number 7. It talks about Moses. Now, we all know what Moses did. We all know that before he ran into the wilderness, he had first murdered someone in Egypt. And when he was still in the wilderness and living there, when he was taking care of his father-in-law flock, the Lord appeared to him. And remember, he was a murderer. The Lord appeared to him and explained himself to Moses, and he explained the mission that he wanted Moses to do. And we all understand whatever had happened before, because Moses was not ready to take the task. And despite of all those things, Moses still went and fulfilled what the Lord had told him to do. Now, I believe that it was a journey, because remember, before, Moses had not yet been introduced to God. Remember, he had lived in the Egyptians kind of a society, because he lived in the Pharaoh's house, and you can understand the kind of a system that Moses went through. And now here God comes and introduces himself to Moses, and he starts teaching Moses his ways, and Moses starts to follow, and Moses starts to learn about God until he goes to Egypt and delivers the children of Egypt and takes them to wherever place he was taking them. Now, my main concern is here. That scripture says that Moses knew the ways of God. And Moses knew the ways of God because he had a personal relationship with God. The moment you are having a personal relationship with someone, for instance, of course you already know this person, and you already know what they like, you know, what time they sleep, you know, what places they like, you know, what kind of activities they would love to do, you know, what kind of hobbies they enjoy doing, because you have been having a relationship for a while. And it's the same thing with God, because Moses walked with God for a while. He already knew his ways. Despite the fact that the children of Israel knew the power and the acts of God, Moses knew the ways of God. He was interested in the ways. He was not interested with whatever other thing that God is doing. He was interested in the ways, because he had already established a personal relationship with the Maker. And that is exactly what I am talking about now today. Having this kind of a personal relationship with God, whereby you don't need really to be kept on and being reminded about God. You just know God for yourself. You can just sit down and know, because I have a relationship with God, God does not like this kind of a thing. Because I have a relationship with God, I know His ways. And because I have had Him, and because I have been having this kind of a relationship with God, I know when He speaks and I know when He is not speaking. And this kind of a thing is what Christ wants us to establish with Him, because even the scripture quotes and says that my sheep hears my voice, and any other kind of a voice they will not follow. Do you know why Christ is saying like that? Because the moment you're having that kind of a relationship with Him, you already know His voice. It's like having, of course, I repeat again, a relationship with someone. You already know how they speak. Even if they were to take a phone and fake a phone call, you will still in a way understand that this is so and so, this is so and so. They're just trying to fake a call, they're just trying to fake their voice, but they're still sounding like so and so. And it's the same thing with Christ. The moment you have established a relationship with Christ, the moment you're having time with Christ, the moment you're following Christ, you are able to hear His voice clearly. There will be no point of confusion. You were able to hear His voice. You're a sheep in the flock, and a sheep in the flock will of course hear the voice. A sheep in the flock will hear the voice of the shepherd. In fact, because the shepherd has interacted so much with the sheep, they can never follow any other kind of a voice. Even if you were to go to a flock and call the flock to you, and you are not the shepherd, trust you me, the sheep will not follow you. The flock will not follow you. But for us, it's the same thing, because we have established a relationship with Christ. Then we really need to hear what Christ is saying. And like Moses, we really need to know the ways of the Lord. And one thing that I love with God, He says this, that He is a rewarder of those who seek Him diligently. Diligently, He will reward. So there is seeking the Lord, and there is seeking the Lord diligently. And the reward comes when you're seeking Him diligently, not only seeking. And seeking Him diligently is what is bringing us to this kind of a relationship where you already know the ways of God, where you already know the voice of God, where you already know this is God speaking. There is no point of confusion. There is no point of doubt. Without any shade of doubt, this is God speaking to me, because you have been having a relationship, because you have already established kind of a bond. That's the reason as to it is easy for you to understand. And another thing that I would love us to understand with this kind of a relationship with God is that the relationship we establish with God is eternal. You know, this is the kind of a relationship that will usher us into our next destination. It is the relationship that is going to take us to the next place where we are supposed to live after we leave the temporal place that we are in, which is the body. I know we've gotten into many relationships with people, be it friendship, be it at work, whatever the kind of a relationship that has been there. But we will all come to a conclusion and into an agreement that all of those relationships that we have been into have been temporal. This one is eternal. And if something is eternal, then it means we really need to take it with the seriousness that it deserves. If something will last forever, then that means that kind of a thing needs to be taken with the seriousness that it deserves. Because if it's eternal, then it's something serious. It's not just something that we will just joke around with and we think that it will end up tomorrow or just the other day. We really need to take our relationship with Christ serious. And this is something that I keep on telling people. The moment you give your life to Christ, now it's upon you to push yourself to know God. Because someone has come and presented God to you, now it's upon yourself to push yourself to know God for yourself. And also, knowing God for yourself, something else that is so important, will make you not get into deception easily. We are living in a world where deception is everywhere. Everywhere. Deception is everywhere. But the moment you're having a relationship with Christ, you already know, this is deception. In fact, you can tell deception from afar. you can be able to discern and know this is deception, and I am not walking in this path because I know this is the path of deception, and I know my Father's voice. And when I know my Father's voice, then I am clear. I can tell when deception is coming my way and when there is no deception. Knowing Christ for yourself, guys, is important. Establishing a relationship with Christ for your own self, guys, it is important. It is as important as waking up in the morning every day, because you have a body and nobody is going to wake up for you. It's upon you and you alone, guys. It's upon you. Reading the scripture is just upon you. Prayer and fasting is just upon you. Reading materials that are leading us more and closer to Christ, it's upon us, guys. It's personal. It's personal. It's so personal. You just have to do it yourself. In fact, push yourself to doing it, because nobody is going to do it for you. Push yourself to knowing God for yourself. In fact, it got to a time I got tired of hearing people saying God did this miracle to me. God did this miracle to me. I was so hungry for God that I wanted to experience God for myself. And truly, I would say that I have experienced God, and I am still yet to experience Him, because the point that I have experienced God, I think it's just a fraction of 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 100%. As in, it's just so little. If I was to rate it out of 100%, the fraction that I have experienced God is still too little. I think it is not even close to 1% of God. So I want to seek Him more and more. And that is the thing that I want to encourage us today, people. Let us seek God more and more for our own selves. Let us seek God more and more for our own self. One day I will have children, but you can be assured that my children will not know God automatically because their mama knows God or because their daddy knows God. No, it will be upon them to seek God. The only thing that I can do is to lay a foundation for them to know God, but I cannot know God for them. And I can also not know God for anybody. I cannot know God for the members of my family. I cannot know God for my friends. It's upon everybody's responsibility to have a relationship with Christ. It's upon everybody's responsibility to know what God is saying about them. And that is why I want us to just arise wherever we are in our lives and seek God, guys. That is why I want to encourage us wherever we are. Just arise and seek God for yourself. Establish this kind of a plan that is leading you more close and close to God, because I can assure you distractions to keep us away from God are there. Things to keep us away from God are there. But you see, this is our life. You see, this is a relationship that is eternal. You see, this is something that is going to determine eternity. And so this is something that we really need to take with the seriousness that it requires. Know God for yourself. Seek God for yourself. Experience God for yourself. Hear His voice for yourself. I love people who seek God, and then maybe when God uses another person to speak into their lives, it's a confirmation of what God had already told them. It's like a rubber stamping that God is saying this and this and this and this. And when you talk to such people, they tell you, oh, I had this kind of a vision. The Lord had already told me about that. Oh, I had this kind of a mind. I had this kind of thinking. Kumbe, it was God who was talking to me. And then someone else just come here and rubber stamp the thing because they were seeking God for themselves. People, let us seek God for ourselves. It's personal. It's personal. Just like life, nobody can live it for you. Nobody is going to do life for you. You and you alone is going to do life for yourself. You will breathe for yourself. You will see for yourself, and you will hear for yourself. The same thing with a relationship with Christ. Make sure, please make sure that you have a relationship with the Lord. Have as many encounters with God as possible. In fact, I don't want to hear stories about God, that God did to so and so, and God did. I want to experience God for myself. I want to have those kind of encounters with God for myself, for my personal self. That is what I want to encourage you today. That is what I want to tell you today. Experience God for yourself. Know God yourself. Study the scriptures yourself. Understand God for yourself. Hear the voice of God for yourself. Seek God for yourself. Understand understand God for yourself. Please, don't stand and think that so and so, because he's my spiritual leader, he will hear God for me. When will you hear for yourself? When will you hear for yourself, guys? Let us hear God. Let us understand God for ourselves. And then something else that is so important. When you walk with God and he continue revealing himself to you, just as I said, deception will not come your way. And also you will not sit on the judgment seat of Christ talking and judging people. Because you have already experienced God for yourself. You already know. And when you see people messing around and whatever kind of a thing they are doing, you don't sit in the judgment seat and laugh at them and judge them. Because you have experienced God and you know that these people are human. You can still bring them back to track and you can still pray for them. Because you've experienced God for yourself. It's important. It's important. This is the best thing that we would ever do to ourselves. There are so many things and there are so many goals that we have set in life. But one goal that I would want us to set for ourselves this time around, guys, is knowing God. Having that kind of a relationship that is so clear between you and God. Having that kind of a relationship between you and your Maker. Having a personal kind of a relationship with God, because that is what we need. That is what we require. That is what will usher us into eternity. That is the only relationship that will remain until eternity. Very, very important, guys. So wherever you are, I hope you're encouraged. Wherever you are, I hope you will continue seeking God for yourself. Wherever you are, please continue knowing God for yourself. Just have a plan for knowing God for yourself. Just make time for knowing God. It's personal. It's yours and yours alone. And one thing that I love with a relationship with God, nobody can take it from you. Nobody will come and snatch it from you. Keep it to yourself. It's precious. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's good. It's worth it. May you know God for yourself. Know God personally. See you in our next video. This is Hosanna Encouragement Parlor. For now, goodbye.